Thank you, Chairman Smith, for holding this very important hearing today. GSP is one of the most necessary trade programs the United States has developed, and it's essential for providing fairly priced imports for American producers and consumers, as well as helping developing countries grow their economies to one day stand on their own. This program plays an essential role in spreading America's influence around the globe. The Biden administration's lack of focus on trade has severely weakened our standing among once key trading partners, therefore cracking the door open for Chinese Communist Party to take our place and exert their dangerous ideology. It is essential that we ensure that the GSP program is working properly in order to accomplish our goals and not undermine American producers of certain products, just like you said. We must be careful to not overburden the program with more government red tape. Businesses just want certainty, and we must work to ensure that as much of it as possible so that they can make safe investments and can trust their government not to pull the rug out from under them. Unnecessary oversight and continued uncertainty will have the unfortunate consequence of raising prices for American consumers, and this is not the outcome that we seek. Mr. Gresser, thank you for joining us today. Having worked under both the Trump and Obama administrations, I'm really interested in hearing your insights of the impact of GSP on the lives of workers in developing countries and the need for certainty when companies are making investment decisions.
Thank you. That's a great question. The impact somewhat differs by country, but it is generally quite positive. A program like GSP encourages some investment and some production in smaller and poorer countries. To the extent it does that, it draws workers out of informal sector and rural work into more jobs that are more likely to be wage-paying, more likely to be covered by Social Security, limited hours, and workplace health and safety laws. I was quite interested, for example, to read the International Labor Organization's Employment and Social Outlook report for the beginning of this year. They say that sectors with global supply chain integration with wealthy countries, such as the United States, tend to have a larger share of wage and salary employment, a lower incidence of informality, and a lower proportion of low-paid employment, and hence, in principle, a higher quality of employment. So it is generally a positive thing for them. It gives you also, as an administration, the opportunity to work on really problematic cases. The case of Uzbek cotton forced labor is a good example. The case of reforming the Georgian national health and workplace health and safety law is a good example. And so it does give you a lot of opportunities, both to create, in general, a better employment environment and to solve really serious and difficult questions. I would also say, finally, that the eligibility criteria are important, and it's important to enforce them, but they're not an unalloyed good. One case that was really kind of unsettling to me was not in the GSP, but AGOA context, an effort to reform the garment industry in Swaziland during the Obama administration did not succeed. The benefits for Swaziland were withdrawn, and the industry then collapsed, and all the workers lost their jobs, so they were worse off than before. So I think enforcement is important. The criteria are an integral part of the program, but we should look hard for the worst cases to focus on and not feel that the more cases we file, the better everyone will be. So there's a lot of judgment calls involved, but I think in general this is a success story for workers.
Well, one of the great effects of GSP is the impact on the lives of the people that are employed in the developing countries, often women. I've seen firsthand the impact of these investments in countries that can have workers who are women will have fewer options. I'd like to submit for the record some data that I've seen on products like sweaters that are overwhelmingly produced in China that should be included in GSP. Women tend to make these products, and I'm very supportive of pro-women GSP. Can you describe how more extensive reporting requirements could make the GSP program less effective?
In my testimony, that was a reference to there's been several proposals to add new criteria and several proposals to add for the USTR, reporting rules and new reporting language. It is, I think I mentioned, important that administrations provide the public record of their decisions and rationales, but the number of people who work on GSP full-time is quite small. Typically, it's 2.5 or 2 1/3 full-time employees, and the more time they're spending on product eligibility petitions and enforcement and on explaining the benefits to other countries, the more the program is going to succeed. The more time they're spending on writing reports, it takes a bit of their time away from the day-to-day work that they need to be doing.
Thank you. I yield back.